Hi there, Mark Carlson here. So this week, guilt. Why is it there? How can it help you? And how can you heal it once you know how it's going to help you, or once you know how it's helping you? So first and foremost, why is it there? Now the same with any insecurity inside. Let's imagine that it's there because it's trying to get you, it's trying to guide you to something better. So with guilt, usually there's a deep-seated pattern that says, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not okay to be the way I am. And so there's guilt inside. So if the guilt was there to help me, then let's look at it as a divine conspiracy that I came here. If I'm doing guilt, I came here because I wanted to learn how to be myself. I wanted to be free to be myself, right? So if I wanted to learn how to be free to be myself, then I wouldn't plonk myself here already being free even to be myself, right? What I'd do is I'd set up limitations so that I'd have the opportunity to be free to be myself. And the insecurity that's set up to do that, in this case, is guilt. Now, so guilt's going on inside. If you're doing guilt, then let's just look at it as if it's a ball of energy somewhere in the unconscious, somewhere in the whole thing that is you, right? Now, as you know, in the universe that we live in, like attracts like. So if you've got a ball of energy that is guilt inside, then situations and people are going to come to you. You will unconsciously manifest yourself in situations where you feel guilty. Now, why does that happen? Because you wouldn't go and find the guilt, right? If the situation on the outside didn't happen, you wouldn't have a look. You wouldn't get to feel the guilt. You wouldn't look. So if there was no guilty experiences out there, there'd be no way for you to find the guilt inside of yourself, which is your guidance system to learn how to be free to be yourself, right? So it's imperative that you unconsciously manifest these situations where you get to feel guilty so that you do the work and have a look inside, right? So that's why it's there. It's your greatest guidance system in the context of guilt, because it's getting you to see that there's an opportunity for you to free yourself in some area of life, right? So what you'll do to validate the guilt is you'll manifest people and situations around you where you'll do something and then you'll say, oh, why did I do that? And you get to feel the guilt again. So we know why it's there. How can it help you? Well, it's helping you all the time because it's giving you an opportunity to find the greatness within yourself to be free. But here's the other area where it's helping. So if you look at your life at this present time, the way you think everything is, you could say that that's a container of consciousness from the point of view that you are in the life experience that you're having, right? So everything that you think life is at this particular time in your life is a container of consciousness. Now, as you personally and spiritually develop yourself, there'll be opportunities for you to expand your container of consciousness so that you get to see life in from a much wider expanded place. Now, every time you move from one container of consciousness to a greater container of consciousness, you have to take the guilt with you. Why? Well, if the guilt wasn't there, you'd have no reference of being authentically powerful and honest with yourself, right? So guilt comes, like let's say you're in a situation, you love your friends, but you've got to go and do that, and you know it's going to hurt your friends, but you've got to follow your heart, so you feel guilty about it. So when you move to that new expanded container of consciousness, you follow your heart's truth, and you know that other people might not like it, but you have to follow your truth. That's why the guilt has to come with you to see that you're powerful enough to honor your truth. You see how guilt is helping you? Because it's giving you an opportunity to be really honest with yourself and to be powerful with yourself, right? It's continuously saying, really, are you going to honor yourself? But if you follow the guilt, then you're saying yes to what the world wants you to do, that shows up in people and situations, as opposed to what you want to do. Now, it's much more difficult when you're younger, but as you mature, there becomes points in times where we say to each other, we say to ourselves, I should say, I've got to be honest to myself. There's just no point going on if I'm not. And that's where the guilt still comes, but you know in your heart you've got to be true to yourself. So that's the other place where guilt helps us. But here's point number 3. You've got to learn how to heal the guilt, because you don't want it hanging out there forever, right? Now, the way to heal guilt is to love the guilt. But look, the operational center that most people work from is here. It's the mental plane, right? So I can say to the guilt, I love you. And it'll say, thanks, mate. But here I am still. But I'll say, okay, I love you, I love you, I love you, you know. And it'll go, thanks, mate. That's really kind of you. But here I am. And it'll keep manifesting. So there's not much power when you're saying over and over, I love you, I love you. You've got to get to an authentic, cellular level expression of the love of the guilt, right? Now it's difficult because the mind says, don't want to feel guilty. There's guilt, there's the energy from the mind saying, don't want to feel that. So where they meet is pain. That's the pain you experience from the guilt. So the way to free yourself, see, pain is always, every single time, emotional pain is a resistance to feeling. So to free the guilt, you've got to take the judgment off the guilt. You've got to recognize the undeniable truth that there is guilt inside of me, and then you move to acceptance. So you really, really work on feeling your feeling. Now, you must take the meaning or the story that you think the guilt is about. You must take that off. Because if you keep the story on, then you've got the mental judgment. I should have, I should have, I should have, will be going on. So you must take that stuff off, that story, and you're left with the feeling, right? If you just lay down, for example, and say, okay, give me your best shot. You say, give me your best shot. Give me your best shot to the guilt, right? You just say that, and then just consciously experience the feeling that's happening inside of you. So you're really getting to an absolute acceptance of this is it, this is the guilt, this is who I am, and you let it explode. You let it do what it needs to do. You give it absolute permission to be guilt. So you take all restrictions off the feeling inside of yourself, all of them, completely off, and you let that feeling move. Now, when there's no judgment, when there's acceptance, it will flow through you and you move into love. And then, of course, the outer manifestation is different. That's why this kind of work where you're going inside and you're freeing energies, negative energies, quote-unquote negative energies, when you're freeing these negative energies internally, what's happening is you manifest a different reality, right? Because remember, like attracts like. So whatever's going on inside of me attracts that exact experience outside of me. So it's imperative that I free these veins of energy that I see as problems or challenges within myself. If you think about a challenge in yourself, it's always a feeling, right? Always. It always comes with a restricted feeling. So if you work on freeing the feeling, you'll change reality for yourself and really quickly. So I hope that expands awareness for you. So at the time of this recording, I still have a few spaces left. I have a gorgeous retreat in Chiang Mai, well, 70 kilometers outside of Chiang Mai, which is in northern Thailand, in the mountains. It's in a 5-star resort. It's 4 nights. It's limited to only 16 people, so it's going to be very, very healing. It's called the Healing Retreat. If you're interested, click on the button below. I have a Facebook group that I answer questions via video or written. If you'd like to join that, click on that link below. Have an absolutely great week. Until next week's video, thank you.